The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly Podcast. How you guys doing? It is actually recorded on Wednesday, October 9th. Literally just minutes after the end of the Phillies-Mets Game 4. The Mets have officially clinched the series, and they are going to the NLCS for the first time in 9 years. I'm also, awaiting we got into remnants of the storm. As of course, I am in the not in the path, but we are getting weather from Hurricane Milton, of course. So I came home early from work, and other than a couple of winds here and there, obviously there's tornadoes go out west and stuff, but it's been actually a very very serene night here, honestly, for the most part. Obviously, I think as we get into the night, because the storm makes landfall, I think in another 2 or 3 hours. So try to get into what I can. We're gonna have on Zack The Degenerate, of course, a couple minutes, and then we'll have on back in the show Chuck NBA with our old friend Greg Hrinya, NBA journalist, author. But of course, the Mets, like I said, clinched the road to the NLCS. You guys know this series was everything for me. This was my World Series because I had no expectations of this Mets team going further than this. And to me, everything's house money at this point. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't want them to win the World Series or at least win the series against whoever's the Padres or the Dodgers. I'm not going to go that far. But I'm definitely, very much happy because I and I know I'm getting a little old for this stuff, hating teams and stuff. But in baseball, there are three teams I just historically despise. There's the Phillies, obviously the worst. The Yankees, because my brother, and then the Dodgers, just because I was born into Dodgers, to hate them because of the early rivalry of my early years of a Mets fan. But this series, I can't believe they won this in 4 games. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. The Phillies bats were pretty much silent. Like the bottom of the order did not come through whatsoever. Other than the Game 2 heroics with Bryce Harper and those guys, on top of the order, made it a game where, and honestly, the Mets could easily sweep the series. You think about it, because in Game 2, up 1-0 the series, they were up 3-0 going into, I think, the 8th inning or 7th inning. I can't remember which inning it was exactly. And then you had Harper go back to back with not Schwarber, the other guy. The Mets had they gained leads twice in that game and then blew it, in the 8th inning. But again, this has been kind of the thing here with this Mets team now, is that resilience. This team is so resilient. People make fun of me because I get this team back in April, May, and again, look, I feel bad I did that, but look, if you're a Mets fan, you know how this goes. Being let down, it's just in our DNA. It's an expectation. But this team, again, has been resilient all year long. Look, I've seen the cheers for Tristan Lindor for MVP. Look, I still think Ohtani's MVP, but the case can be made for Lindor for MVP when you consider the fact that he also is a position player at this point now, whereas Ohtani this year was a DH. But Ohtani was special this year, so I still give Ohtani the nod there, national MVP. But Lindor definitely number two. Probably even closer than you realize. The MVP of this series for me, and Lindor being MVP, of course, but to me, the low key MVP for the series was Dave Peterson, the relief. And we go back to game 1 of the series where the Phillies were they had a 1-0 lead. Schwarber hit a sole home run out the chute in the first inning. Kodai Senga, started the first 2 innings, first start in a while, since I think August or late July. He does two innings. They bring in Peterson, and then Peterson pitches 4 innings, flawless baseball, and kept the game intact for the Mets enough for them to make a run in the 8th inning. Same situation here today too. Also, Mets Phillies up 1-0 in the 4th inning. Peterson comes in relief, and he keeps things calm, cool, collected for the Mets until Lindor hits a grand slam. So for me, you look at MVP of this series, in my opinion, my personal MVP, Ernest Christian MVP of this series for the Mets. Obviously you give credit to Lindor, obviously what he did in the grand slam and timely hits, of course. But to me, Dave Peterson in relief was the MVP. Edwin Diaz scared the living shit out of me in the 9th inning. First two batters, walk, and then a base hit. It might have been 2 walks actually, but basically, two batters on base, no outs. Very sloppy. He was throwing the ball with gas. He was still getting 98, 99, 98, 97 miles per hour on the pitches, but his placement was just off. Like, he was off, and I think he was still burnt out. I was even saying, I was texting my friends during the game, right before the 9th inning. Should you bring Diaz in with a 3-run lead? Do you go to another guy in the bullpen, Stanek, whatever his name is, the long hair, forgetting his name. Do you go that route and you save Diaz's arm? Because Diaz, prior to this weekend, had pitched 107 pitches in the span of 8 days. So he was gassed already as is, but he settled down. He got the outs. I'll tell you what, Kyle Schwarber being at the plate, with 2 outs, scared the living shit out of me. Because Schwarber again started the series with a home run. And last thing was Diaz giving up a 3-run shot to tie the game. Because I'll tell you right now, if the Mets lose Game 4, they're not winning Game 5, in my opinion. Because you're gonna have Zach Wheeler in Game 5. Zach Wheeler pitched a gem in Game 1. He's had a phenomenal year on top of that. And this Phillies team, you see, at some point you're gonna see them explode, right? You figure the bats at some point will explode, and the bats never really did. I mean, you had little moments here and there. Bryce Harper did a home run here and whatnot, but the bats never exploded, and they never exploded. It never came off. And then and the pitching decision was fantastic. Like both teams started pitching rotations did very well. It was the bullpens that blew for them. It was the Phillies bullpen. The closer blew 2 games. Game 2 leads rather. Game 1 and then even in Game 2 he blew a lead as well too. So it's a fun series. Obviously, I'm glad the Phillies went down. My hated rival, and we are in LCS. So I'm very excited about that. We'll be talking about that more in the podcast in the coming week, of course. Who I prefer to play, Padres or Dodgers? I mean, Padres, obviously, there's revenge there for me because 2 years ago, losing the wild card round to the Padres, after a little, not so much of a meltdown in the regular season, but just it's in general, beating us really bad in there. And of course, it's always fun to beat the Dodgers because my lifelong hatred of the Dodgers since I was a child. So I don't know, but all that later. We'll talk about it later. In the days to come, obviously in the podcast. All right, let's get to the week 6 best bets with, of course, our boy Zack The Degenerate. All right, week 6 best bets, of course, with the America's favorite degenerate in the yellow. Of course, it's not me; it's one in the yellow here, to the right of the screen. Zack Degenerate. What's up, buddy? I'm happy. I'm happy right now, buddy. I'm in a good mood. Aren't you in a good mood? You're in a good mood like I am?
I'm always in a good mood.
That's right. I mean, you know why? This recorded top of the show. The Mets eventually NLCS. I mean, look, I was saying, this was my World Series. This series, because you know my lifelong hatred of the Phillies. So this was my World Series. This is to me, everything else past this is house money.
Look, I was happy Lindor earned his salary this year.
You did. He sure did.
He did with one swing, so good for him.
Yeah, he has a case of MVP. I mean, I'll give it to Ohtani, obviously, but after Ohtani,
he has no case for MVP.
Well, no, I agree with Ohtani. I agree with you. It's Ohtani. What I'm saying, people are saying that the reason why Lindor has a better case is that because he's a position player. But Ohtani was so special, even playing DH this year. You can't ignore that. He damn right was 66 this year, wasn't he?
All
Close
right.
to it?
Just because you have to fill out a ballot up to like 5 names or 10 names, that does not mean you are MVP worthy. Sometimes there are just years where it's just clear cut, and that's all there is.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, buddy. We agree on Otani MVP, right? We agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're not disagreeing with that. I'm just talking about people's argument for Lindor getting it. I'm like, I get it, but no.
I never even heard someone mention him for
You
MVP.
need to get out more often, then I guess. Then talk to the people out there. Talk to the people.
You mean delusional
Mets
Met
fans.
fan?
By the way, I was saying on the top of the show too. Well, low key MVP of the series was Dave Peterson in relief. Same situation like Game 1. Mets down 1-0 for a chunk of the game. The Phillies had chances to blow doors off this game, and Peterson kept the game within reach, enough for the Mets bats to take over in late innings. Same, it's like Game 1. It's like Game 1. Because I can argue that Game 1 and his performance there tilted the series. So, I don't understand how the Phillies bats was so quiet tonight. Not even tonight. This entire series. It's weird.
I just can't believe you get this excited for something that's like your fourth most exciting sporting team.
Third.
Really? I thought wrestling slipped in before this.
Stop. Come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Stop.
It's the Mets.
You also got number 2 in the Mets. The Mets, it's very far in a few years they do this. So when we have these opportunities to make some noise like this, you got to take it in. You got to enjoy it, you know? But it also reminds me how much I love playoff baseball. And on that, the Mets are my first love. The first sport I got into was baseball. So the first thing I rooted for was the Mets. Before the Heat, before the Giants, it was baseball for me. So even though I was alive at 86, I wasn't old enough to appreciate it. So that's the one sport I'm still looking forward to. One team still left. I want to be able to enjoy as an adult / teenager. Like Rangers in hockey, I 14 years old, in 94 for the Rangers. Obviously, Heat championships, 3 of them as an adult. Giants Super Bowls, I've pretty much enjoyed 3 of the 4. So this is the one. The Mets. I need a World Series.
Oh man, it's gonna be a long time for you.
It's been a long time for me, buddy. Almost 30 years.
Yeah,
almost 40 years.
I'm thinking another 30, but
you're an asshole. Anyway,
like
let's get
30 for 30.
You know what? You're an asshole. You know why though? You probably mad at me. You know why you're mad at me also too? Because you lost again this week by one game. So I'm now 4-1. You're 4-1 this year in our EJ the Degenerate picks, West Bets here.
I really didn't think Sunshine would get a win before I did, but it's been a rough year for me gambling.
Is it really?
Look, I got 2 mainstays, but I try and bet stuff with everything else with them.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the games. Of course, I'm biased this week. The Chiefs, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Vikings. Of those 4 teams, Zachary, who do you think needs this bye more?
You said the Rams, right?
Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, Vikings.
Yeah, it's got to be the Rams. They've got no offensive weapons right now. Everyone's hurt. The line is banged up. They need time to heal.
If you're the Rams, though, are you considering selling at this point now? Do you consider moving Stafford? Do you consider moving some of these pieces now?
Have you? No, because you still have a shot technically when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how bad the NFC is. I really don't believe. I mean, they still have the Eagles as favorites to win the division. They're 2-2. So
They should be for the time being.
No, they should not be.
No, they'll be Homer. We'll get to your boys in a second. They got a big test this week. We'll get that in a second.
Yeah. Even if we lose, we'll show up and play better than what the Eagles have done.
Well, like I said, we'll get the Eagles in a second. I have something to say about that. But I'm gonna, Rams. I will say yes. I mean, because I have to think both conferences are the same situation. There's one runaway in each conference: Chiefs in one, Vikings in the other.
Yeah.
I don't think the Vikings will win the division, though. I still think the Lions win the division, if you ask me. But the Dolphins, can definitely use this rest up too, also as well. I think the Dolphins, they're right there, only game behind for first place in the division right now. They get 2 back in 2 weeks, and Buffalo's come to earth a little bit. Jets are still having their issues, so that's not an impossibility. Dolphins just to if they stay the course next 2 weeks, they can come back with Tua and hopefully win some games on the back end. We'll see.
No, you're right.
Right. But anyway, let's get to the first game. That's tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll have power to watch this because we're still waiting for Hurricane to get here. Both of us are.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, I know. Seahawks at Niners. Niners are 3.5-point favorites over under 49. Zach, what you got?
I told you earlier in the week, this could be one of those weird weeks where maybe only one or two actual home teams win. But I do like them as an underdog this week, getting points.
Seattle?
Yes. So
you taking
give
Seattle?
Me Seattle plus the points.
You think we're not right?
Oh, hell no. But I just like the 3.5. So
it's that damn half point, man.
It is.
That damn. No, I think San Francisco is going to win, and I think it'll win in convincing fashion. I think they are probably so pissed about how they lost the Arizona game last week, and rightly so. I think, and low key, Brock Purdy's had a really good year.
Yeah,
low key. No one's talking about that actually. I'm really surprised, but he's had a good year. San Fran's done this last couple of years. They start slow, 2-3, that kind of thing, and then they turn on later in the year. I think we'll see the same thing here. I think the only thing I'd be concerned about is number one, Christian McCaffrey is not back yet. Still, that could be a injury. I think that could be a season-ending injury for him, honestly. But a lot of injuries around in general. Did Debo miss this Sunday too? Also,
yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
Okay, so, but I'm gonna say San Francisco. I just trust them more. I don't trust Seattle. I told you guys 2 weeks ago, even when they were 3-0, they're a bunch of frauds. And I'm being proven right now. Give me, you let my team walk into your building and beat you guys. Take away that fumble 6 the other way, 99 yards. We win that game 1 away. So, give me Niners. Give me Niners. So, all right, Sunday games. First one is going to be in Germany. Jaguars at Bears. The Bears are 2-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5, Zach.
The Jaguars always win over in London, all right?
This is Germany, though. This is Germany, though. This is Germany, though, not London.
Doesn't matter. It's Europe. Okay. It's all Europe.
Good point. Taking Jags?
Yeah, I'm taking the Jags.
I actually like Chicago to win this game, but I'm not brave enough to bet this game. So I'm at the under. Bears defense is actually really good. Like really good. Like probably top third of the league. Good. I mean, 3-2, with Caleb Williams only now playing good football. So that might be out there. But I'm not brave enough to bet either one of these teams, so I'm betting the under this one. This is definitely a stay away though, overall, if anything. All right. We got Cardinals at Packers. The Packers are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is 47, Zach.
Look, I like the over. I want to have the balls to take Green Bay. I feel like this is a matchup for Jordan Love going against Arizona's defense. That's pretty atrocious, but I think the safer bet's just going over.
Arizona had their shocking win of the year. Okay, now they get let down. Now, give me Green Bay to win this game. I think Green Bay now Jordan Love is back, feeling himself now. They'll make their trek to the playoffs. Give me the Packers to win this game and actually win this relatively easily in Lambeau. All right, we got Colts at Titans. The Titans are 1-point favorites. The over/under is 43.5. Zach.
I know I clown on Anthony Richardson, but Will Levis just loves to throw the game away. The most inopportune time to turn the ball over, he's like, "Here, please take it. Please take it." So, yeah, I'll take the Colts.
Taking Joe Flacco on the Colts, huh?
Oh, I thought Anthony Richardson was coming back.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm assuming Flacco's back. Flacco played well this last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old man. And this is, again, another stay away, though, because division rivals. I'm going to go with the optics here. Give me Tennessee off a bye and they're home. I'll take Tennessee.
All right. Good luck.
I mean, we'll see. I don't trust the Colts, man. I don't trust them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you have to worry about trusting the Colts. Will Levis will just throw an interception for a pick six.
Very possible.
Or he'll fumble. Like, as he's running, he'll be like, "Oh, here's a guy. Let me drop the ball."
All All right, we got the Texans at Patriots. The Texans are 7-point favorites. The over/under is 38, Zach.
Why would you start Drake May on this
Against
game?
this defense, too, especially. Top 5 in the league.
If you wanted the kid to have a chance on a good start, you start him last week. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Hey,
the Dolphins
go against
right.
a powerful offense and a defense that loves to get after you.
Yeah. Team Houston?
Absolutely.
Even without Nico Collins, who's out for 4 weeks?
Did it matter last year when he lost Tank Dale?
That's true. You got CJ
No.
Stroud. I like Houston. See, like normally I would take New England the points because a lot of points at home because their defense. No. Give me Houston.
No.
Houston. I think Houston had their signature win last week against Buffalo. And I think now they're going to take off. So give me the Texans here. Of course, I'm with you. All right. How about Bucks at Saints? The Bucks are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 41.5. Zach.
I know there's a lot of Saint fans out there excited to see Spencer Rattler at quarterback.
Yeah, Derek Carr's out.
Yeah, but I don't think this is a week to be excited. Give me Tampa Bay, and I think Tampa Bay could make it look ugly.
Yeah, I'm with you too. Also, Tampa Bay first off should have won last week against Atlanta. They gave that game to Atlanta, in my opinion. Honestly, I still feel good about the Bucks overall as a contender. Baker Mayfield's had a great year. He had a great week last week rather. In fact, the loss. I think they're gonna feed Mike Evans like crazy in this one. It's gonna get ugly, honestly. And I told you guys, like Seattle, 2 weeks in, I said the Saints are frauds, and I'm being proved correct. You're the Bucks. I'm with you.
You don't get to call it a fraud when they lose their starting quarterback.
I called it too. I called it after week 2, buddy. I said I'm not.
And what's their record?
They were 2. Now they're 2-3. They were 2-0 after week 2, and I said, everybody said, "Oh, the Saints! Oh my God! Wait a second!" It wasn't they were 2-0. It was that they won both games in blowouts. So they had 91 points total in the first 2 games. I'm like, slow down, dude. I need to see more. And since then, I'm in proven right. They lost 3 in a row.
But it was a big difference about who they played, right?
They lost to the Eagles, who were missing both the receivers, and lost at home. I want to hear anything.
All right.
No, stop. Don't take it from the Saints. What's wrong with you? All right.
I'm just trying.
No, you try harder. Browns at Eagles. Speaking of Eagles, Browns at Eagles. Eagles 9.5-point favorites. The over/under is 42.5. Zach. Ooh.
Are the Browns really that bad?
They quit last week.
I know, but they're not quitting on the season, are they? There's too many people up there for contracts and money.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. No, that's just too much. Give me the Browns plus 9.5.
I was tempted to go that route too, also, but then the Eagles are off a bye too. On top of that, they're trying to clean house, they're trying to clean up all the mess of the infighting between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, allegedly anyway. And I haven't seen reports yet, but they probably should get AJ Brown back and Smith back as receivers, so should be a lot healthier this week. The Browns just look like a team that's just lifeless because of their quarterback.
Yeah.
Who they should bench probably, but they won't because they have no choice, but because they have to pay them that kind of money. I'm so tempted to take the Eagles and cover here, but I'm going to go and just take the over in this one. Let's be safe. Because, again, are the Browns that bad? We don't know, and I think 9.5 points is a lot of points.
Yeah, well, if they are that bad, that means Eagles got to score like 40 of those points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your Commanders put up, 34 last week?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, we know how to put up points.
Yeah, oh, look at this cocky ass Commanders fan. Speaking of Commanders fan, game of the week, by the way, Commanders at Ravens. This is actually a little bit of a situation for you now. Which team would you root for? Ravens are 6-point favorites, over under 51.5. Your second team, or I guess your main team.
Look, if it was 7, and if I thought about it, maybe bought that a whole point, but that's a real waste of money. I would take the Commanders. But I want to play it safe because Baltimore's got no DBs. Washington's got no DBs. And I think Derrick Henry's going to run all over us. I'll take the over.
Yeah, to me, the over is the easiest bet of the week for me of the slate. This is my lock of the week. This is my mortgage bet, as you call it.
Wow.
Both these D's are terrible right now. And my gut is to take Washington the points anyway. If anything, if I had a choice between one and the other, Washington the points. This is a huge game for Washington. This is the first real challenge. Okay, they're 4-1, in the NFC East. Okay, and have a chance to have a stranglehold in that division. Let's see. Okay, let's you guys for real? Because Baltimore is a Super Bowl contender. Are you guys for real? This is just your first chance to have a signature win. You know?
Are you going to say they're for real if we win?
Say it again?
Will you say they're for real if we win?
Well, you walked into Cincinnati. Granted, Cincinnati's a little rough this year, but they're still a great offense. You beat them on the road. Then you went on the West Coast and beat Arizona a week later. You beat a tough Browns defense, actually. I still said the Browns defense is pretty good still, I would say, at very least. No, I would definitely say winning this game will go a long way into me saying, "Oh, you guys are contenders now, like playoff contenders." If you ask right now, go ahead.
Here's a better question. If we win against Baltimore, would you bet on us to win the division at that point?
I would feel stronger about it. Definitely. I still right now. If you ask me right now, gun to my head, who I win the NFC East? It's still the Eagles. They got a better roster and all that. But these next 4 weeks for the Eagles are going to tell me a lot because their schedule, they should go 4-0 the next 4 weeks.
If you wait 4 weeks, you're not going to get a premium on the bet.
Well, if you're talking gambling, I guess take the value. It's still, I think still getting value on the.
You'll get no value on the Eagles. You're getting value on the Commanders.
Let me look up right now.
They're +3. The Commanders are plus 360
to win the NFC East right now.
Yeah.
Why not throw it in? Throw a fucking $10 bet on that one. I don't know.
Trying to help you. Trying to guide you.
I gotta see the proven wins though, man, because the Eagles are a better roster. Right. I will say this much though. It's looking like it's gonna be a 2-team race now because the Cowboys' schedule next 6 weeks, and we get to them in a second, is rough. It's big time rough. So we'll obviously we'll come back next week. We'll react to this game. If the Commanders win this game, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Commanders now. Big picture as possible East champions. We'll see, but bet of the week. You and I agree. Easy over here.
Yeah.
All right, 4:00 games. Chargers at Broncos. Chargers are 3-point favorites. The over/under is 36 points. Zach.
No, I will personally make both bets. This will be an easy 2-team parlay. And if you were looking to really, really save your money, you do a 2-team teaser.
Yeah.
But the Chargers and the under. I want to take the Chargers, but Chargers and under seem like an easy two-team teaser in one game.
So you're taking the Chargers though?
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers.
Dude, that the number is so perfect though, 36. That it's to me, it's low enough that I'll take the over in this one. It's low enough. I agree with you that this is gonna be a defensive game. I just don't know if 36 points is, a barometer. I think that's low enough. Yeah. I see a 20-17 game here. I can see that, and then what? You know what I mean? That's over. There you go. Yeah. So Harbaugh, I believe in Harbaugh. Off a bye. My first instinct was to take the Chargers to win this game, and I'm like, you know what? Let's take the over. Let's be safe. So we'll see. All right. Steelers at Raiders. Steelers 3-point favorites over under 36.5. Zach.
Oh, give me the Steelers.
Oh, it's easy. That's easy.
Talk about a team that's imploding.
Did you see also what happened? The new quarterback for the Raiders, Aiden McConnell.
Yeah,
he's terrible.
I mean, he wasn't terrible at the end statistically, but.
Oh, you mean this past week?
No, from last season.
Well, he was all right. He had a moment or two, but he was all right. He wasn't.
I saw a stat like his last 4 games, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. So
I gotta look at it again.
he
But
played. He played really decent the last 4 games of the
then again,
season.
who's watching Raider games that late in the year, right? Come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'll give you Steelers. It comes down to stability for me. They're the stable of the two teams. They gave away that game to Dallas last week, by the way. Michigan won that game.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. I don't know. But give me Steelers here. They'll bounce back. I see a TJ Watt pick and score, scoop and score coming up. So yeah, Steelers here. All right. Next other game of the week here, we have the Lions at Cowboys. Lions are 3-point favorites. The over under is 52. Zach.
Oh man, give me the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Talking about a game to tune up on. It's got to be the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, and off a bye on top of that too, and off a bye.
Yeah.
And Zachary, I now present to you the next 6 games for the Cowboys at 3-2. This is why I said that Steelers win was a must win, and they got it because they had a loss. The Steelers. Here's the Cowboys' next 6 games. Obviously, Detroit this week, at the Niners, at the Falcons, Eagles at home, Texans at home, and then the Commanders now, who are now good. Okay,
Sure.
and then you want to extend it to another 2 weeks. The Giants are kind of frisky. They almost lost to the Giants last week, 2 weeks ago. Then the Bengals may be better by December.
Oh hell yeah!
So they don't get an easy game until December 15th against the Panthers, and then they close it out against the Bucks, the Eagles, and Commanders. Like if they go 3-3 in that six game stretch, that's a win for them.
I still believe they're better than Atlanta. Okay, I get it. Atlanta's turning.
Gun to my head, yeah. Gun to my head, yes. Gun to my head, yes. But again, the Cowboys are typically will lose those games sometimes if you're not careful. You know, I'm thinking Detroit here though. Detroit probably advocated the city the most well balanced team in football across the board in all 3 phases.
Yeah, what cost them is their coach sometimes.
Yeah, but that's their identity. You know, I get it. I don't agree with it necessarily, but I get it. Give me Detroit, man, and Detroit off the bye on top of that too. Come on, that's a bad combination. All right, you got Falcons at Panthers. Falcons 6-point favorites over under 47. Zach.
Give me the Falcons. All right. I tried to ride the Andy Dalton Red Rifle love, but he's running out of steam real quick.
Yeah, they look competitive with him in the first couple of games, and then last week happened in Chicago.
Yeah, and I bet on Carolina.
But I'm going to bet the over. I think Carolina will be competitive in this game. Atlanta will win the game, but 6 points at home. I mean, Andy Dalton is competitive. I'll take the over in this one because both teams will score. I know that. So, all right, Sunday football.
Wait, can we go back to Atlanta real quick?
Go ahead.
Everybody and their mother talked about how amazing Bijan Robinson was. Can we be real about what he's done now since he got drafted?
You hate that guy, don't you? You since last year been bitching on this guy, bro.
It was because he was not special. All right, they made him out to be a second coming for a running back, and dude's just not that. I like his story, great kid, but he's not special. He's not even garbage yard Saquon special.
Right. Nah, he's been quiet. So, all right, Sunday football. Bengals at Giants. Bengals 3.5-point favorites over under 47.5. Zach, so I stated on the podcast on Tuesday that even the Bengals are 1-4. I still didn't get the playoffs. I still think the playoff team.
Well, this would be their first game in that way road to playoffs.
They better. That hole's getting bigger and bigger.
I really, really do think they will blow the Giants out. This would be my mortgage bet of the week.
You disrespectful asshole.
Even on the road, this would be my mortgage bet of the week.
Mm-hmm. So you're taking the Bengals, huh?
Yeah.
I think the Bengals' problems are just one-sided. It's their defense. The offense is phenomenal. Joe Burrow's had a phenomenal year. It's just the defense is shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm with you. I agree with the Bengals, though. I think they find a way to win this game and cover. All right, and then Monday Night Football, of course. Bills at Jets. The Buffalo Bills are 2.5-point favorites. The over/under is 41. Zach, drama in New York, huh? Robert Sala's gone. Your boy Aaron Rodgers and
Aaron had nothing to
judge,
do
jury,
with it.
executioner, doing his thing.
Yeah. You keep Hackett though, because that's working out real well for you on offense.
So you saw the rumor, right? So the rumor was that Salah was going to fire Hackett, and then Rodgers said, "Nah, fuck that. I'm going with Willie Johnson, and we gonna take care of it." And God, what a mess. What you got in this one, man?
The other thought is the only reason why Woody Johnson fired him was because it was overseas, and he invited all his buddies from overseas to come watch, and they lost, and he got embarrassed. So
week 5, embarrassed. Week 5, dude. Come on.
Are we into like game 30 now without Aaron Rodgers throwing for 300 yards?
That's your favorite stat right now, going the last 2 years in this podcast.
No, my favorite stat was the fact he couldn't throw for 200 yards the opening month of the season for 3 years in a row.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, I think we'll see in the beginning and the end. I think we are. But I want to see more though, because I've seen moments. Some of those throws he still makes once in a while. It's still pretty damn good, but it's getting harder and harder to defend him right now at this point. But what you got in this one?
Well, I'm not taking the Jets. I'll take the under in the game just because I have a feeling it's going to be an utter mess.
I'm actually taking the Jets in this game, but I'm betting you. I'm gonna take the over for our picks because I think I don't know. Maybe the Jets feel embarrassed now. I think Aaron Rodgers probably torch the Bills defense. I don't know. This is a game. This is a stay away game. The optics are bad on the Jets, man. I mean, again, two teams right now going in both right now going in bad directions here.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Bills 2 weeks ago with the Browns in the league, and all of a sudden now lose 2 in a row, and all of a sudden things are rough. Are we sure Josh Allen's playing on Monday also too? Remember he had the quote unquote ankle injury, was really concussion maybe, but
oh yeah,
that shit was bad. Come on, NFL, what are you doing?
He's a tough baller. He'll come back.
Yeah. So there's our picks for the week. Before we get out of here, I mean, we can do the FSU Minute. There's no FSU game this weekend. We just cancel segment. Can we just cancel segment in general? Seriously?
Does this count as a victory? Not losing for a week. You
said that I didn't watch the game. You said Brock Glenn actually looked better than DJ.
Oh, he looked far better. And it seemed like his wide receivers were a little more engaged in the game.
Can you find these 5 more wins for the year so we go to the bowl? Or no?
I'm just hoping for 2 more wins. That, honest to God, I'm hoping we do not lose to our cupcake team and to Florida. That's it.
Yeah, it's so fucking embarrassing, isn't it? So fucking embarrassing. But we'll address our next opponent next week's FSU Minute, of course. Anyway, Zach, thank you so much as always. Are you working tomorrow, or are you going to be home?
Yeah. Oh no, I'll be working.
In the storm?
Yeah. Gotta make sure the generator comes on.
I figured you would. I had a feeling you were going to be working too because of what you do, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was like, he's probably going to be working tomorrow, isn't he? You bastard. All right, buddy. So we'll talk soon. Good luck with your picks as always. Get a win for once this year. Come on now. It's getting embarrassing.
At this point, maybe I'm trying to go for the 0-16 record.
Well, you Detroit Lions now from 2008?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Stay safe, okay?
All right, man. You too.
Right,
you and your family.
All right, brother. Be good.
Later.
All right. We are joined here now by NBA author, writer, the author of the 5-year plan, the Mets' tumultuous journey from New Jersey to Brooklyn, but I still haven't finished yet. I need to finish that book. I have the book. I never finished it.
It's not going anywhere.
I have it in my Kindle. I got it on Kindle years ago. I've never finished it, bro. Greg Hrinya with us. What's up, buddy? It's been a while.
Nothing much. Thanks so much for having me. I love coming on.
Did you you notice NBA's around the corner now?
Well, I was watching NBA right before I came on with you. I was watching the Knicks and Wizards preseason game. Not that we need to talk about that, but
I mean, I know it's Christmas is in December, but for me, this is great. Like for me right now, you have football and college football going right now. I'm a Mets fan, so the baseball playoffs are great for me right now as well. That's baseball. Hockey just started yesterday, and now we got basketball in the corner. My ultimate sport. So I can't wait. So I want to bring on a couple minutes. I basically want to ask you 5 random questions, and we'll just discuss these things, randomly, of course. As we get closer to the NBA, I'll be doing a season preview, with my boys Zach and Chris next week on the show. We do as we've been doing for the last 13 years in the show. First question I ask you, Greg.
Mhm.
With the cat trade now, Carl Towns going to New York, in exchange for Julius Randle and DiVincenzo going to Minnesota. In your eyes, are the Knicks the clear number 2 team in the East now?
That's a good question.
That's a pause.
Yeah, I mean, like Boston's clearly number 1. I think the Knicks will be the second best team during the regular season. I have questions about how that trade's going to work come postseason time, just because I feel like I don't have a problem with them getting rid of Randall. Like, I don't know how he was going to fit on that team because he reminds me of, to keep it local for people that are watching the New York area, he reminds me of like a power forward version of Cam Thomas. Like, he's going to score a ton of points, but he's going to sort of be like a black hole on offense and monopolize the ball. So I really don't have a problem with the way that they want to play with Bridges and with Brunson and Anunoby, and they want to share the ball and, the Nova Knicks and all that sort of stuff, even though they lost one of the Nova Knicks in that trade.
Right.
So Randall, I don't know that he necessarily made sense from a success standpoint. His numbers were going to be good, but I don't know that Karl Anthony Towns fixes the Mitchell Robinson problem, because Mitchell Robinson's always hurt. So they they needed a center. So I mean,
losing Hartenstein was not good.
Yeah. So I mean, just the way that the salary cap and the offseason is structured, like the Knicks could only go to a certain point for Hartenstein, and they couldn't get to where Oklahoma City was willing to get to. So I mean, I understand why he's not here anymore, but I mean, ideally, he'd still be your starting center. So they were really in a predicament with Robinson not coming back till December, maybe January, and then probably likely getting hurt a couple of games after that, and then really being stuck with Randall playing the 5 or Precious Achiuwa playing the 5. So they needed a center.
Right.
I'm just a little concerned about how Thibodeau plays his guys all the time. For example, the preseason game that I was just watching, you still had up 26 points Karl Anthony Towns playing a minute into the fourth quarter against the Wizards.
That's so Tom Thibodeau, dude.
In a meaningless game. And said by the announcer was Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns have played the entire second half. And I'm like, what is he doing? So, I mean, like, I'm just concerned that they don't have the kind of depth necessary. Like, they're going to win a ton of regular season games. They always, like, a Tom Thibodeau team always wins a ton of regular season games. I don't know that this trade necessarily makes them a little different, but I mean, I don't necessarily like losing 2 guys for 1. I do like getting Randall. I don't know that Karl Anthony Towns solves everything. It's going to make them a much better offensive team. He's not a great defender though.
But neither was Randall though. Randall was not
no, he was kind of a lazy defender. I think he had the ability to be a good defender, but he sort of like was doing the LeBron thing where he's sort of saving himself on one end of the floor, except like he's like more than a decade younger than LeBron. So, I mean, it doesn't really work. So I like them moving Randall. I just don't know that come playoff time, he's going to move the needle. And I also worry about their depth during the regular season. I think that because of Thibodeau, they're going to win games. I'm a believer in Philly, and I'm still a believer. I'm probably the only one left in Milwaukee. So I think they had a sneaky good offseason, considering they really had no flexibility. I think they added some good depth, and they're getting Giannis back healthy and Dame in better shape. So, I mean, I think that the Knicks are going to have their hands full, and to win the number of games that they need to be the second seed, they're going to have to play those guys a lot of minutes. And if you have someone like Anunoby, who's always get hurt again.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns has a history of injury, and Anunoby has a history of injury. Obviously, you like that Bridges and Brunson seemingly play all the time. And Hart too. But I mean, I'm just concerned that if 1 or 2 of those guys go down, like
Yeah, I'm reading these minutes here. For example, tonight, like this game's almost over. Like it's over now, pretty much. 27 seconds to go. But Carmen Towns 28 minutes, Brunson 23 minutes, Bridges 30 minutes, Anobi 25 minutes, Josh Hart 24 minutes. Maybe it's the only game they do this with this roster like this. Like, this is so tough to though. I can't stand it. It's
30 minutes for Bridges in a preseason game against Washington is obscene, considering that the guy's never missed a game before. Like, if he had the second most amount of miles run last year to Jason Tatum. So I mean, like, the guy just plays and plays and plays. He doesn't need these reps. I guess you're saying, okay, he's new to the team, he's new to the system. You want to get him his reps, but like, I don't want to get guys hurt in a meaningless game. And like, this sort of goes back to your question about where could that downfall be? Where was my hesitation? And it's like, that worries me a little bit, just given that these guys are going to have to play a lot of minutes. And maybe I'm not worried about Bridges or Brunson, but I'm going to be worried about Anunoby and Towns. And then if you have to start Achua, if you have to start bringing guys like Landry Shamet off the bench or Tyler Kolek off the bench, like, they just don't have a lot of depth there. And so, like, losing DiVincenzo, I think,
that's a big loss. That's a big loss.
Yeah, I mean, he shot 40% from three last year. So, I mean, like, you're taking a guy who's probably going to come off your bench and be like a flamethrower off the bench, and now that just disappears. And I get that you can't have Randall guarding Embiid and Giannis and, like, all the bigs that you're going to need in the Eastern Conference. But at the same time, I don't know that Towns solves a lot of those problems, although he is going to make their offense a little bit more watchful because Mitchell Robinson's not a good offensive player. So it'll be a little more aesthetically pleasing, at least.
So let's power rank the East for a second then. So because you're obviously pushing back on the Knicks being number 2. I'm not saying you're wrong there for the record. We clearly agreed that Boston's number 1 still. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's not that I don't believe in Philly. It's that I don't believe in Philly to stay healthy because you got 3 guys. Well, Maxi's okay, but Paul George and of course Embiid. You saw what Embiid last year. He finally he had a couple of good years where like he just actually managed to stay healthy. Then last year happens. He misses a chunk of the year. Philly falls apart. Well, he's gone. He comes back. They make a run late, and then they lose the first round of the Knicks, obviously. But the Embiid windows, I think we discussed in the podcast last year. Maybe you and I, or maybe somebody else. But the Embiid window is much smaller than I give credit for. People give credit for, even at 28 years old. I don't trust that still. I mean, they have a good roster. You still got good pieces around there. They signed Kill Martin, I think, from the Heat. Mm-hmm. A couple of good pieces there. But Paul George is what, 35, 34?
Yeah, he's 34.
Yeah, I mean,
going to be 35 during the season.
He's a good player, but he's another guy that does not stay healthy. And I just don't know if I trust that. I feel like the Knicks, what they have is, in comparison to the Sixers, I trust the Knicks roster to stay healthier in comparison. So that's one team, that when you say, okay, who's number 2? I don't trust Philadelphia to make it to the finish line into April. They'll be wounded, in my opinion. The other team is Milwaukee. Their window's closing also too as well. Now Giannis is still 28, 29 years old. You still got Dame. Injuries throughout the year last year too, also as well, especially in the playoffs. I feel like Milwaukee, and I'll ask this question on the back end. My final question is, in the back end of this segment, but I feel like people will see Milwaukee again. People all of a sudden are like, oh, well, Milwaukee did this and that and didn't do anything in the playoffs. And even though we forgot that they had the 2 best players, Giannis didn't play the entire series at all. Dame missed a chunk of the series. Milwaukee feels like a team that, could bounce back and be the number 2 team. Anything. I mean, I would feel more comfortable with Milwaukee being number 2 than say Philadelphia. And then you of course have the Clevelands and the youth of Cleveland, and you have obviously Miami if they're hanging around. Of course, Indiana's on the upside. There's a lot of things around. And I get the pushback to the Knicks. I get the pushback to the Knicks. Be number 2, but I don't know, man. If I had to pick up that litter for number 2 in the East behind Boston, I still say Milwaukee, man. I don't know why. I can't quit Giannis and those boys. I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot of people are down in Milwaukee, but I look at them and I'm like, Giannis is still relatively young. Lillard, I think, with a full season of Doc Rivers being there too, so he can run. Yeah. And the thing about Doc is that, like, he's not a great coach, but I don't think he's going to lose you games. No. He's just like, he's a solid coach. He's not going to do anything brilliant.
He has a ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's going to cost you either. But what I like about what they did is they replaced Malik Beasley with Gary Trent Jr. I thought that was a big upgrade. Gary Trent Jr. obviously has some history with Lillard from their days in Portland, so I like that pickup. Taurean Prince, they got for nothing, basically. I like that pickup. DeLon Wright, I mean, you could even play him next to Lillard if you want to add a long, rangy defending, a guard to defend other teams' two guards. You could do that. They still have Bobby Portis coming off the bench. They still have, Pat Connaughton, although he hasn't been good last couple of years. I still like their depth a little bit. And I'm not even counting Chris Middleton. Like, I understand he had ankle surgery to both ankles in the offseason. But I will say that, I mean, he almost carried them. Like, he carried them to competitiveness in that first round with no Giannis and no Lillard.
Yeah.
So if you know that you just have him healthy for the playoffs, like, if you could just get him to the playoffs, like, I'll take my chances with them against anyone, including Boston.
All right, so power rank the top 4 teams in the East right now.
Well, I mean, those are the top 4 teams. I mean,
so in order. So Boston.
So I'm going to say Boston. I'm still going to, after all I just said, I'm still going to say the Knicks, only because I feel like Tom Thibodeau is going to sell out playing guys 40 minutes a night to win games in January and February that other teams just aren't going to be willing to do. Like, I don't see Doc Rivers playing Giannis 42 minutes or Lillard 42 minutes. So, like, I think some of those teams will be willing to lose games for the greater good. Like, to your point about Philly, can we get them to the playoffs healthy? You're not going to get them to the playoffs healthy by playing Embiid 70-something games and playing.
Agreed. Totally agree with that.
So like, I mean, I'm looking at Philly from a playoff perspective. Is that going to make them great in the regular season? The funny thing about all this is that, like, we assume that those are going to be the top 4 seeds. I guarantee you one of Indiana or Cleveland or Orlando or one of those teams crashes the party, and, like, you've got one team who gets banged up and injured and winds up as, like, the 5th seed.
Which team of the 3 you think will crack it?
I mean, Cleveland's the most likely, just because, you could make the argument that, like, okay, Evan Mobley will take another step. They've got a new coach, an offensive-minded coach. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. Maybe it's better for Garland. Maybe he can unlock something with Garland and Mitchell that JB Bickerstaff wasn't able to unlock. And again, JB Bickerstaff is much like Doc Rivers. Like, I feel like he's a fine coach. He's not going to lose you games, but he's not going to win you games either. So, I mean, like, he's a fine coach, but I don't know that didn't really make much sense. Not that I want to get on a tangent, but I don't know why Detroit necessarily picked him up. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, it's almost like, if there's one year you want to be bad, this is the year, and it's like they're going for like 34 wins and like a
they're tired of being bad. At some point, this gets to you, like, we're tired of being bad. Oh, one more year bad? I don't care. Get me out of here now.
But,
I get it.
Do it one more year and get Ace Bailey or Cooper Flagg or one of those guys. I mean, like, this isn't the year to try and be a hero. So, but that's just me getting on a tangent. I mean, I feel like Cleveland out of those teams is the most likely team to get there.
Right. All right. Question number 2. Which star is under the most pressure this year, in your opinion?
I mean, it's probably similar to question 1. It's probably Joel Embiid, because, I mean, he's probably only got 2 years left of, like, prime basketball. And, like, the Paul George move is a great move, but I mean, like, your window is Paul George's contract is Embiid's contract. Like, if they don't get it, and Embiid's not going to get better as he gets older. So, I mean, like, he really, and he's got all the players around him. I thought Daryl Morey he's probably in the front running for executive of the year. I mean, not just adding Paul George, but adding Caleb Martin, adding Eric Gordon, adding Andre Drummond, who can spell Embiid. If you want to play Embiid 50 games, and maybe you want to play that rookie Adam Bona as the backup to Andre Drummond, maybe you can get away with that a little bit. But I mean, Embiid, people are going to say Luka, because he's arguably the best player and, one of the 3 best players in the league. Yeah. But he's still so young that, like, I don't know that I'm willing to say that if he doesn't do it this year, he can't ever do it. I mean, like Jason Tatum did it last year, and it took him a long time to do it, and he's still super young. I mean, he's still 26 years old, so it's not as if, like, he's 35. So, I mean, Luka's still got plenty of time. I think the clock is ticking on Embiid, and if it doesn't happen in the next 2 years, it's probably never going to happen. I would say Luka's runway is a lot longer than those 2 years.
No, I have 2 guys actually here. And I agree with him. Embiid, I definitely agree with you on that. I think his windows is year. I'll go further than this one. I think it's year to year at this point, because he's the way he plays. Also, he flops around, he falls on the floor. There's gonna be one random night he'll do that, and that'll be it. And I don't want that to happen to him, obviously, but the style play he does, it's not conducive to long-term success. It really isn't. But he's a big dude. I mean, obviously on top of that too. Two guys I got on my list here. Giannis, obviously in Milwaukee. And it's weird saying Giannis because he has a ring. But for him to pile on going forward, and I think his style play also too, he's not a perimeter player. So his game won't age well as it gets into his 30s. So how this Milwaukee window, how could they extend this window another 2-3 years? I mean, you got Dame there, obviously. Dame is good, but Dame's window is what? Maybe 2 years at most as a top 20 guy. And then Giannis's game will only age worse as he gets to his 30s. So remember, we were having a conversation about this a couple of years ago about Giannis, if he wins 2 rings, and all of a sudden Giannis is now in the top 15 discussion all the time. And and obviously things have happened around him that has prevented this. Obviously, coaches, or was the injuries he had last couple of years in the playoffs, where it's Chris Middleton getting hurt in the Boston series 2 years ago and all that. We get all that, but I think we're moving further away from that. For the conversation, we're like, oh, Giannis could be a top 15 player all the time, even top 10 if he play the cards right, another ring. So now, we sure he's going to get to the finals anytime soon? I don't know. So to me, he's under a little bit of pressure. The next guy is pretty obvious for similar reasons too, who has rings, but this is more of a legacy play. It's Kevin Durant. Like this is it. Like, to me, like, no one's picking Phoenix to do anything this year really beyond just like getting to the playoffs, maybe win a series or two. KD's 36, 37 years old now. I mean, he's still great, but it's now or never at this point.
I agree with both those players. The reason why I wouldn't necessarily say either one of them is just because they have rings. But I mean, you're totally right. I mean, with Durant, the team hopping, if he doesn't win another ring, if he struck out in Oklahoma City, needed to join a 72-win team that was a 73-win team that was tailor-made to win titles with or without him. Those are the only rings that he gets, and then he hops from team to team, and then he can't get there. You're right. That will be a bad look. But he could always say, I can sleep well at night because I've already got multiple rings. And sure. Giannis, when you were describing Giannis, the first thing I was thinking was Russell Westbrook, like another guy whose game is built on force and athleticism.
Yeah,
but can't shoot the ball, so his game doesn't age well. So I mean, it's the same kind of thing. I do agree with you there too. But since they both have rings, it wasn't the first thing that jumped to my mind. But they are both under a tremendous amount of pressure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and this is it. All right, question number 3. Percentage chance Zach LaVine from Chicago gets dealt this year. Every year is in trade discussions, but every year nothing happens.
I'm sure a lot of teams would like him. Like I would be shocked if a team like Orlando didn't want him, because I feel like you look at a team like Orlando, the only thing that they're missing is perimeter shooting. Like if you could take a guy out there who could just go get his own shot and who could comfortably shoot threes next to Banchero and Franz Wagner, they'd love it. The issue is just his contract is so bad. And I mean, it's hard to match salary for him. I think that the reason why the Bulls didn't move him over the summer, before the trade deadline last year, they had to attach assets to him. Like for a team willing to take him on, maybe like a team like the Nets would say, okay, like we'll take that bad salary on, but you're going to have to give us picks, along with that. We'll give you Ben Simmons, but then now you have to give us picks because of the length of his contract. I think that's the biggest deterrent. It's not that he can't play. It's just that they're not going anywhere with him. And to get him, if you have to cobble together $40-45 million worth of salary, that's not an easy thing to do. Good teams don't just have bad contracts lying around. They can just flip for $40 million. So I'm sure that both the Bulls, LaVine, and another team would love to have him elsewhere. I don't know how feasible it's going to be as far as what deals are out there to just move him for. I mean, there are teams like, like we keep talking about the Sixers, but like
pick on them all the time. Like it.
like KJ Martin, they were calling him Zach Lowe when he was still doing his podcast, called him like the human trade exception, because like they signed him to a deal that's basically meant to be moved, as part of another deal. But the only problem with that is that that's only like an $8 million deal. And there's a lot of guys like that, but like $8 to $10 million is not going to get you to 40. So, I mean, I think that the Bulls are going to have trouble moving that. So, I mean, my guess would be that he's still there, because also if they play just a little better and they're in playing contention, I feel like they have an owner who's not really willing to just strip it down to the studs and like would rather compete for the play-in and being the 7th seed or the 8th seed and getting blown out by Boston or whomever than taking it all the way down to the bottom. So I feel like he's probably more likely to be there than not.
Other than Orlando, who else will you play at? You think he will fit there? Like a team that can use him, like that you take him, this team is over the top, puts him on top. That does any bad team. There's like a team that actually needs a guard that can actually put him in contention. Like you start Orlando, which I agree with 100%. Any other teams besides that?
Oh, so like we can't use a team like the Pistons again? So I'm I mean, I guess it's all relative in terms of another team that, I guess it depends on how you define good. I mean, like if you put him on a team like Atlanta, for example, like, like that's just me, like completely off the top of my head. But like, if making the 8th seed is considered good, I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of teams like if you look in the West, like
what about the Warriors? Could the Warriors use him with Steph? Would that work?
Maybe, I guess. I don't know what they're giving up for him. I mean, like the Warriors are interesting because I feel like they've got one of the deeper teams in the league. They just, after Steph, don't have like a tremendous amount of high-end talent. I mean, like they go deep with like D'Anthony Melton and Kyle Anderson and adding Brandon Pajemski and I mean, but look, maybe if they're willing to get rid of Wiggins and part with a pick or two, maybe that gets it done. And maybe they need more shooting around Steph since they lost Klay Thompson to Dallas. I mean, that's probably as good an example as I could think of.
So
and they'd also be desperate to do it because their window is Steph's window, and like they're gonna throw good money after bad if they need to try and give Steph as many cracks at it as possible.
Here's where I'll probably agree with you on the fact that he may be there in Chicago another year, because it'll be more attractive to get him next year on his final year before his player option. So this year, $43 million. Okay, then the next year, 25-26, 45-9. Then a player opt to 48-9, which I honestly he may opt out of that because he's still young enough. He's still young enough to get multiple years and probably.
True. He also does have a lot of injuries though, so I mean it'll be interesting to see. And look, he could probably opt out and take like a Chris Middleton deal with like any team that he wants if he wants to go chase a ring. But like, what does he prioritize at this point? Would he rather make $50 million and lose, or would he rather make $32 million? Would he rather take a Harden deal or a Chris Middleton deal and like chase a title?
A lot of money. A lot of money though. A lot of money.
True.
We say that fans like, oh, go for the rings, but $50 million is still a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I'm not telling you what he should do. I would take the money too. So
yeah, of course. Come on now. No, I think maybe the Warriors look at that, but again, pieces to get up for that, of course. And I think I like the Orlando pick. The Orlando pick was actually a really good one because they need. I thought Klay Thompson should have went to Orlando, honestly. But
yeah,
I'm okay. I'm okay with them going to Dallas. Though I'm okay with it.
I still think that they're one like guard away from like really doing what they ultimately want to do. Like they were a Donovan Mitchell away, basically, from like being really, really good.
Absolutely. All right. Question number 4: is Wemby a top 10 player in your eyes entering this year? Victor Wembanyama.
Oh,
the unicorn.
That's a good question.
I will not answer this question because I'm going to have my own list coming out next week when we do my top 25 players of the entering the year. So I'm not going to answer this question. I want you to answer this question. It's a little bit of a tease.
I'll say yes. And the reason I'll say yes is because he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Like he's probably going to be the front runner for that award for the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So defense matters to me. So I mean, like, maybe he's not going to go out and score 34 points a game like Luka did last year. But like Luka's not a good defender. So I'm taking into account that he plays both ends of the floor. I don't think his shooting percentage is going to be like amazingly high. But he's probably going to have a lot of games where he has like 22 points, 18 rebounds, a couple steals, 3 or 4 blocks. Like, to me, and also I think that having some veterans around him will only help his case because he's going to have Chris Paul, he's going to have Harrison Barnes, he's going to have some adults in the room, as they say. So like I feel that is going to help his maturation process too. So I would take him probably over a number of other players, just given the fact that he's so good defensively.
It's quite possible right now that he might be the best two-way player in basketball right now.
True.
Just based on what you just said there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, if you're saying top 10, like, would I rate him at like 8 or 9? Like, yeah, probably. Like, I wouldn't say that he's like 4 or 5, but
I mean, who's your locks? Your locks are who? So Luka, Giannis, Jokic. Immediate 3. Steph Curry's. It's not in any order. Not in any order. Steph Curry,
Alexander's
SGA,
in there too.
Tatum. That's 6.
And you're probably still saying
KD,
Embiid, KD.
That's 8. That's 8 right there. LeBron.
I mean, would I rather
after the Olympics? I don't know, man. Maybe.
I mean, LeBron's still amazing, but would you rather have? Well, I guess if we're just talking about today,
1 year sample. It's 1 year sample.
Yeah. If you're, maybe still LeBron. So maybe I'll put him at 10. Like, maybe I'd rather have him than Anthony Davis.
I mean, and then the other guys considered at the 10 spots is like D-Book and who else? What other guys are missing there? I mean, Anthony Edwards maybe.
Speaking of the Olympics, Devin Booker did himself a lot of favors in the Olympics with how well he defended. So I think, the idea that like he was only a one-way player, like he really locked in defensively and was able to play in a secondary role in the Olympics. So I think he did himself a lot of favors there. So, I would still take Wemby over Booker, though.
Of course. No, I would like, again, I'm not going to answer this question now because I'm going to reveal my answer to this on the next episode I do next week. Excuse me. Yeah, allergies. But the fact that we're already here with year 2, because last year I was so worried about the fact that, Wemby, okay, he's gonna be great, but he's gonna be a project first because will he play enough games to justify him being rookie of the year first off? And he did that, and he got better as the year went on, and the fact now he's able to stay healthy and he's dominating the ball. I think Chris Paul being there is gonna help a lot. People gonna say, Chris Paul's too old. You don't get it. It's Chris Paul is gonna be able to actually settle. That Spurs team last year was so chaotic that Wemby was getting points off of misses and off of like plays already run for him. Now Chris Paul can settle down the offense and actually run plays for Wemby. That'll go a whole long way. So
you think Chris Paul's gonna be a better point guard than Jeremy Sohan? I'm kidding.
Jeez, Robin wannabe?
Yeah.
No, so I will answer that question though, but there is a conversation to be made about the fact that he should be top 10. And if you're saying he's top 10, then I mean, who knows?
I mean, again, I'm looking at like 9 or 10. Like, I'm not putting him at like 3 or 4.
That's the thing. Though, the fact he's already there year 2 at his size, it's saying something. It's saying this. I'll say it again because I entered last year saying this. I said into the year that this guy will be the best player in basketball in 5 years, and halfway through the year, I shortened it to 3. And I'm tempted to go even shorter than that because I think honestly, we could be seeing this guy being probably top 5 in the league, but at this same time next year doing this podcast.
I would hope so for his sake because he's got that kind of talent.
Yeah, he's really that good. I mean, it might be sooner than we think. So, all right, final question. I'll let you go. Which team or player should or will have the biggest chip on their shoulder?
Biggest chip on their shoulder?
Yeah.
I mean, am I allowed to say Paul George? Because
you can.
I keep going down the
well. I mean, that's the pattern in this podcast anyway. So we'll go right ahead
with the Philly argument. Biggest chip. I mean, I guess if we had done this podcast, last year, like Jason Tatum would have been a good example. But like Boston gets wiped off the map by winning the title. Biggest chip. Ja Morant is probably one of them. Because I think a lot of people, myself included, think that they could be a top 4 seed in the West. And the only thing I guess that would be keeping them from that would be if he's not available for whatever reason.
Extracurricular activities.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think that he's got a lot to prove. And I think that they've got the pieces around him being healthy. So I would say Ja Morant or Paul George. Paul George maybe being my answer, but to get away from the Philly theme, I will say Ja Morant, 1A, 1B. So, I mean, look, there are a lot of guys that are under a lot of pressure this year. I mean, like you said, like KD's got a tremendous chip on his shoulder. I mean, you could make the same argument for Booker or Giannis or any one of those guys. But I mean, like, I don't know. I look at John Morant and I'm like, that team could like contend for a Western title. I mean, they've got all the pieces around them. I mean, they've got Desmond Bane, they've got Jaren Jackson, they added Marcus Smart. And if all those guys are healthy, like there's no reason why they shouldn't be right up there with the Dallases and Minnesotas and Denvers of the world. So, I mean, they're right there. So, yeah, I think that'd probably be a good one.
No, you mentioned it earlier. You just mentioned it. It was Boston and Tatum for me.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, well, they won a title. I don't care. I don't think I've seen a more disrespected player and team that's won a title. The guy goes to the Olympics, barely plays. Okay, this is a top 5 player in the league at this point. I think we will agree he's a top 5 player. Even though in these parts of this podcast it is controversial because he's the most frustrating top 5 player in the league because he has all the talent, he has the numbers, but he doesn't have the dog in him. And I know it's a recurring theme in this podcast for the last like 3 or 4 years now, but it stands to be said. And of course, we get why Boston got disrespected last year because yes, they had the easiest trek to the finals. Everybody was injured until the Dallas series. It doesn't feel like the Celtics are the defending champions. It doesn't feel like it. Like when Denver won 2 years ago, it's like, oh, Jokic did it, and oh my God, Denver. Boston wins, is like, okay, whatever. That's the vibe I get right now with the Celtics and Tatum. So I feel like, chip on the shoulder, you would hope that Tatum has that after everything's gone through, win a title and not be respected. Not winning Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown was the correct answer for that. They got it right for the record. Then going to the Olympics, and then that happening. I mean, if you're Tatum, you have to have a chip on your shoulder at this point. The biggest chip on your shoulder. Like, I'm the guy that's gone to 7 Eastern Conference Finals, 2 NBA Finals, won a championship, and y'all still don't respect me at all? Really? It's got to be Tatum and the Celtics with a bullet.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with that. I will say that I think Boston, not that they have a lot more room to improve. They were already amazing last year, historically in a lot of ways. But I mean, I feel like them winning the title is going to take a lot of pressure off them, so they're going to be able to be a little looser. So I don't think that they're going to take a step back at all, probably because they don't feel like they have that pressure on them. And maybe maybe to your point, they should, because like you said, Jaylen Brown wasn't selected for the team. Jason Tatum was selected for the team and then wasn't played. I mean, I guess I could justify that in a sense with like, there's only one ball and you need guys to do other things on the floor.
But so DMP though, a DMP.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But I mean, to be honest, they could have probably had 2 teams that were capable of winning the gold. So I know they should have lost to Serbia, but
not
still.
Not to mention too, Greg, also on top of that, Jaylen Brown not making the team itself, but Derek White goes instead. I mean,
I think the reason why Derek White played so much is the reason why Jason Tatum didn't. Because like Derek White doesn't need the ball in his hands. They could just trot him out there, say defend, make the right move, make the right pass. If you're wide open, shoot it. But like he didn't need plays run for him.
Yeah.
I feel like Jason Tatum needs plays run for him, and they already had enough guys on the floor that they were going to be running offense through. So that's probably why he didn't play. And they had other guys who could defend better. Not that Tatum's not a good defender. I think that he's a great 2-way player. But I do agree with you. I don't necessarily know that I've ever seen like a dog in him or like like MJ had it, Kobe had it. Like you're never going to see that from Tatum. I mean, you probably just want a little bit of that. But I think that now that he won a title, that probably takes some of the pressure off. But hey, maybe hopefully he takes what happened in the Olympics personally and see him take another step. He's still got room to grow. He's still young, so
that's the thing too. Also, like, is he top 5 in your right? Like he's top 5 on your list, right?
See,
no. See,
maybe like 6 or 7.
That's a point though. The very fact, think about it. He should be top 5 already. He should be there already. And the fact that we can't like he might be on my top 5. We'll see him on my list next week. But if he's top 5, he's number 5.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm a really big Shai Gilgeous-Alexander fan, so I mean, I'm more likely to put him in the top 5 than I am to put Tatum in the top 5.
You take SGA or Tatum right now if you want to. Like you take on your team. You're building a team right now. You take SGA or Tatum right now.
God, that's a tough one.
Aha!
Probably SGA. Probably
Me too.
probably
Me too.
SGA.
Me
Yeah,
too.
because
Me
I
too.
mean, I feel like he's done more with less, whereas Tatum has had a lot more around him, which also is why I never thought that Tatum was going to be an MVP candidate and probably won't be for the foreseeable future. Not that he won't be like, fourth or fifth in the voting. He's just got so much talent around him
Yeah.
that it's almost like when KD and Steph and Klay Thompson, they were all in the Warriors. It's like, how do you separate one of those guys when on any given night, one of those guys could have a total dud and they could still win the game by 25 points?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has, for the past couple of years, had to do a lot of heavy lifting, and now he's finally seeing the fruits of his labor come out. So, I mean, like, if you're talking top five, I mean, you're talking Jokic, Doncic, Giannis.
Be honest. You still putting Steph there?
Maybe not top five.
Wow. Interesting.
But
Interesting.
and then
Anthony Edwards?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good players in the league. I mean, I'm probably putting SGA at 4, to be honest with you.
Wow. That's love. That's love. Let me throw you one more bonus question for the listeners here. Are you buying the Thunder as finals as Western Conference favorites?
I'm buying them to have the best record in the Western Conference. I don't know that I would take them in the playoffs just because I still feel like I know they had a great offseason. Adding Alex Caruso is huge. Hartenstein's a huge upgrade.
Hartenstein was huge. That feels a need. The absolute need. They need size.
Yeah. And another year of Chet Holmgren growing, becoming better. I would say that they're the most well-rounded team. Are they still too young? I don't know. I guess, like, if I had to make a choice today, I would say yes for them. I think they definitely will have the best record in the Western Conference just because of their depth. But, do they get into a playoff series with a Dallas or, a Minnesota or a Memphis or whatever that gives them all they can handle? Like, would that surprise me if they lost a tough 7-game series in the Western Conference Finals? Like, I wouldn't be shocked.
Who would you be a favorite to win the West right now? I know you have Boston win the East, but who would be a favorite in the West right now? Regardless of record, I mean, like going to the finals. Because Denver feels like the easy answer, but I feel like Denver got a little worse.
They did get a little worse, but I mean, I feel like they're banking on some of their younger guys to take a step up, and I don't know why they can't do that. But I feel like they are really banking on. I mean, Jokic will stay healthy because he doesn't play an athletic game, but like Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, like those guys have to stay healthy. I mean, I guess Aaron Gordon's had some injury problems, but I mean, I feel like Porter Jr. has got to be like he's got to live up to his contract. I mean, he's getting a max contract. He's got to be a max player, and if he's not a max player, all the Peyton Watsons and Julian Strothers of the world are not going to save them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, when you bake in the Porter Jr. injuries and inconsistent play, but Murray's injuries too, I got hurt last year once again. Jokic is Jokic. He's not gonna, I don't think Jokic is any better than he is now, but he's still amazing. But I think Denver. I'm a little bit like Denver. Other than favorites, in my opinion, probably, but it's by a thin margin at this point in the West.
I'd probably take Dallas over Denver only because, like, I don't even know, and like, I don't know that this is a hot take, but like, I don't even know if Michael Malone is going to make it through the season as their head coach.
What?
And the reason why I say that is because I don't think that he is on board with management and ownership letting a lot of these veterans go.
Wait, you're saying that he may quit?
No. I think that there could be like a power struggle and he could get fired.
Well, you'll be on the pod all year long, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that situation.
I mean, like, look, it's not that he's a bad coach. I just don't think that he's liked losing Bruce Brown, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jeff Green. I think that Calvin Booth is sort of forcing a lot of these younger players on him by letting these other guys go. And I don't necessarily know that he's on board with that. And so we will see how that plays out over the course of an 82-game season.
Yeah, I think the KCP move was, I even did, I spoke on it during the summer. That KCP move was, I think, hurts Denver more than helps Orlando.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I don't think Orlando's in a position to win a title right now, whereas like Denver is in a position to win a title, and you're taking a key piece. I mean, everywhere he goes, it seems like they get better. He went to the Lakers, obviously they're in the bubble, but I mean, still, he was a huge piece of that team. He's been a huge piece of the Nuggets. So I think that that's an underrated loss. We'll see if the Christian Browns and, like I said, Julian Strothers, Peyton Watsons of the world can make that leap. But I don't think that Michael Malone is happy that he's in the position that he's in with losing all these veterans. And so we'll see if there's any fallout from that. So
yeah, right. Anyway, follow Greg on Twitter, or we call it X these days, at Gee Hrinya NBA. Again, he's an author, writer, the author of the 5-year plan from the Nets' tumultuous journey from New Jersey to Brooklyn. And Greg will you'll be on the show a lot this season, so look out for it, man.
I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate it. Thanks.
You got it, brother.